In today's Farm Report, whey has been the traditional protein when it comes to adding it to milk replacer, but as Jim Sulphur with the University of Minnesota Extension Service office explains, there are alternatives coming on the market.
Last year when milk prices got so high, milk replacer prices also went up very high. And over the last 10 years or so, there's been a lot of research by some of the milk replacer companies looking at alternative proteins. So I get a lot of questions, or I get some questions about which protein sources are good sources. Historically, we tended to kind of say you got to stick with whole milk, and there's a lot of marketing yet right around whole milk, but they're actually becoming more good alternative protein sources for calf milk replacers. Some of them that are out there right now that people are looking at are wheat, soy, there's modified soy, there's egg proteins, there's some spray dried plasma that are being looked at by some of these companies. I can't go through all of them. Some of them are a lot better than others. Some of the wheat and soy proteins, unless they're modified, really have been shown to have reduced growth rates in some of these calves. I guess the model, of course, is still your whey proteins or your milk proteins, but don't be afraid to use some of these other protein sources. But what I would encourage you to do is make sure it's from a reputable company. Try to get some of their data if they're trying to sell you on alternative protein sources. I don't have time to go through all the research today, but many of these have excellent reputations. Matter of fact, some of them rival or may even be better than some of the milk proteins that are out there right now. And so if you're looking at that, I know right now milk replacer costs, of course, have come down some. But as you look at milk replacers and as you examine them and compare company to company, make sure it's a reputable company. And then also, again, make sure if you're looking at an alternative protein source, you might want to ask what some of the research is and how that compares to basically a skim milk powder or something like that. Because, again, as I mentioned earlier, of course, that's a gold standard of what we've been looking at. And so instead of shying away from some of these and feeling like you can't use anything except a whole milk powder, there is some excellent research on some of these alternatives that actually they're very comparable, and some may even be a little bit better than some of the whey proteins that are out there. This has been Jim Sulphur with the University of Minnesota Extension in St. Cloud.
We can still come together and agree on issues that matter for our children's future and for our future as a nation.
President Obama, December 2010, when he signed the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act, which authorized the Agriculture Department to institute a set of federal nutrition standards for school meals and snacks. And this week, almost 5 years later,
I'm here to make the case that it's important to the security of this country long-term to invest in our kids, to invest in their health and their nutrition.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack at the Center for American Progress in Washington. The Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act is up for reauthorization by Congress. Some lawmakers have said the school meal standard is causing more plate waste, unnecessary costs for schools. Vilsack quoted several contradicting studies on the school meal effort.
And if given an opportunity to do over a long period of time, it will result in healthier youngsters, better achievement at school, a stronger economy, and more young people to draw from in terms of military and other service.
But some lawmakers want the standards rolled back. Vilsack says
taking a step back would be a mistake.
In Washington, Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. U.S. cattle producers are taking steps now to finally expand the beef cattle herd. Agriculture Department livestock analyst Shale Shagam says one big reason is
we have a lot of grass out there.
A lot of grass, and indeed,
we are still in record high territory for U.S. range and pastureland conditions for late August, going back to 1995.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey. Now, pastures usually do a dry down this time of year, and that's happening, but still,
we have one half of the U.S. range and pasturelands in good to excellent condition. That is down 2 percentage points from a week ago. Meanwhile, the percentage of very poor to poor rated range and pasture land up 2 points from 16 to 18%.
The last time pastures and ranges looked this good in September was back in 1997 when a record-strong El Nino was setting up. Coincidentally, that's true again this year. Of course, it's not rosy everywhere, as you know, if you're trying to graze animals in Washington State, Oregon, or California, where drought has at least 60% of pastures rated poor to very poor. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.